10 News Bulletin. My name is Fales Jizombe. First, the headlines. Pope Leo XIV sends envoy to Ukraine for Soviet Union 30th anniversary. Legislators place government to address midwife shortage amid maternal health concerns. Government intensifies fight against mental health challenges. And in other news, orphanage fire kills 11 as Algeria struggles in heatwave. We have more stories coming up. Do stay with us. Against mental health challenges. Pope Leo XIV has sent the Vatican Secretary for Relations with States and International Organizations, Archbishop Paul Richard Gallagher, to Ukraine as the war between Russia and Ukraine continues to intensify. Archbishop Gallagher visit intends to mark two significant milestones for the Catholic Church in Ukraine: the 35th anniversary of the re-establishment of the Latin Rite Catholic Church and the 25th anniversary of St. John Paul II apostolic journey to the country. We have a long news report read by Charity Chiranga.
In a letter addressed to Archbishop Gallagher, Pope Leo praised the steadfast faith of Ukrainian Catholics, recalling the hardships they endured during Soviet-era persecution and commending their resilience. The Pope also referred to a letter written by Pope Gregory IX in the 13th century, in which he encouraged the clergy and the faithful in what is now Ukraine not to lose hope despite the assaults of wicked men. Pope Leo entrusted Archbishop Gallagher with conveying his closeness to the Ukrainian people and presiding over liturgical celebrations at the National Shrine in Beryshiv. The visit is also aimed at encouraging prayers for peace and strengthening the faith of local Catholics. The mission comes at a time of renewed violence in Ukraine, following fresh Russian attacks on the city of Zaporizhia, and what Ukraine officials describe as the country's largest ever naval drone operation against Russian targets. Meanwhile, Ukraine also hosted European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen on Wednesday as discussions over the country's bid to join the European Union continue to gather momentum despite the ongoing conflict.
Member of Parliament for Palombe South, Tiaone Henry, has urged the government to prioritize the recruitment of trained midwives, warning that the country's shortage of about 8,000 midwives is putting pregnant women and newborn babies at risk. The legislators were speaking during Thursday's parliamentary proceedings, where she welcomed the lifting of the recruitment freeze, but called on the Ministry of Health to focus on employing trained midwives to help close the country's growing staffing gap. Constance Kantemeni has filed this report.
In her remarks, Henry said Malawi cannot afford to keep losing mothers and newborn babies because of a shortage of skilled midwives, saying there are trained professionals who are ready to work but remain unemployed. She also asked government to recruit at least 1,000 midwives every year to help reduce the shortage of health workers, adding that better salaries and improved working conditions are needed to retain trained midwives and stop them from leaving Malawi for better opportunities abroad.
But also we should not only talk about recruitment. The problem we have right now is we recruit health workers, but we don't give them incentives. They are poorly paid and they don't have things that makes them go, like to stay on the job. So we keep losing midwives. They keep going outside Malawi because they want to seek green pastures. So my suggestion as well, as much as we're talking about recruitment, but we should also talk about investing in them.
Meanwhile, Minister of Health Madalitso Waloi has disclosed that government has already received a recruitment waiver for the Minister of Health and other public institutions.
I'm sure Honorable Member for Palombe South has seen the waiver that we have just gotten. The Ministry of Health and other ministries We are thanking the President of Malawi, Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika, for that waiver, and we know that recruitments will take place. Once all the processes are ready, we will be ready to recruit.
The call comes as the government moves to strengthen the country's health workforce, with expectations that the planned recruitment will help improve maternal health care services and reduce pressure on existing health workers. For Luntha News, this is Costas Kantemen.
Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority MACLA says it has started stakeholder consultations on proposed registration fees for data controllers and data processors before the fees become operational. Speaking in an interview, MACLA head of data protection, Daniel Shawoni, said the proposed registration fee is structured based on the size of the entity, which is determined by the annual turnover. Clara Kamzati has filed this report.
Jones said the fees were necessary to enable the authority to effectively monitor and enforce data protection laws in the country. He added that the registration requirement applies to entities across all sectors, including finance, agriculture, education, and health, which collect and use personal data of Malawians.
And the purpose really is we must look at the broader picture, and that is protecting the personal data of Malawians. So for this to be done, we need to have effective monitoring, effective enforcement. So that's why the fees are being proposed.
However, United General Assistance Collector Kayura has expressed concern over some proposed fee increases, saying they are not comfortable with certain changes.
There are some jumps in the fee structure of which I'm not comfortable with. Like, I don't understand why they jump. So those are those are the questions that I'm yet to ask and then understand. But otherwise, we're here to learn more, so that we actually protect the personal data that we hold as a company.
The Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority says it will introduce annual registration fees for data controllers and data processors effective September 30, 2026. For Luntha Television News in Lilongwe, this is Clara Kamzat.
Civil society organizations have welcomed the High Court Financial Crimes Division's decision to reject the ACB's application to discontinue corruption charges against convicted wildlife trafficker Lin Yong-ha. Speaking in Lilongwe, Indigenous Conservation of Nature Executive Director Famukazi's Lan Gondwe said the ruling strengthens the rule of law and public trust in the justice system. She, however, raised concerns that legal provisions could still allow the state to pursue other avenues to discontinue the case. Gondwe has since called for transparency and urged the Director of Public Prosecutions to recuse himself to avoid possible conflicts of interest. Here is part of what Gondwe said.
The withdrawal of this rejection of this case is denied. This was a very good move by Justice Kapindu, and we welcome it. Secondly, we note, however, in his decision that there is also still avenues that the DPP can pursue in order to go ahead with withdrawing this case. Therefore, we see that even though we celebrate and welcome this decision, it is not over. The fight is far from over. We need to pursue all processes possible to ensure that this case continues, because this issue looks like it is being moved forward in directions that we don't understand. Because ACB was in the front line of pursuing this case, and it has turned around now to pursue instead dropping the case, which has already started. This is, number one, a waste of public time and resources, and erodes confidence in the justice system. So all these issues must be explained clearly through the correct processes, for which we see and we advise and we believe is to seek parliamentary intervention.
You are still watching news on Luntha Television with me, Fales Jizombe. Another look at our top stories before we proceed. Pope Leo XIV sends envoy to Ukraine for Soviet Union 30th anniversary. Legislators place government to address midwife shortage amid maternal health concerns. Government intensifies fight against mental health challenges. And in other news, orphanage fire kills 11 as Algeria struggles in heatwave. Moving forward, the Ministry of Gender, Community Development and Social Welfare has reaffirmed government's commitment to addressing mental health challenges by strengthening psychosocial support services, expanding the social work workforce, and increasing mental health awareness across communities, schools, and workplaces. Navicha made the remarks while presenting a ministerial statement on Thursday in Parliament. Gift Kalunga has filed this report.
Navicha said poverty, cyberbullying, disaster, and other social challenges are among the major drivers of mental health problems in the country. She noted that economic hardships and the spread of false information on social media have left many people stressed, depressed, and in some cases, driven them to take their own lives. She said the ministry is working with the ministers of health and homeland security, as well as other stakeholders, to expand psychosocial counseling services across the country. Navicha added that government also plans to professionalize social work by recruiting more social workers and extending mental health support programs to workplaces, schools, and communities.
Implementing a number of initiatives, as I've already said. Number one is psychosocial counseling. We are providing psychosocial counseling to all people through our social welfare offices in each and every district, and we are also working hand in hand with police, Ministry of Homeland Affairs, and Ministry of Health. We are also planning to start psychosocial counseling programs starting from workplaces, like currently we'll be starting with Parliament. Members of Parliament will go through these trainings. Thereafter, we'll engage departments and ministries so that all people in workplaces should also have access to these services. Even in schools, our children are also facing a lot of changes due to small things in schools, but they can commit suicide. They are in stress, they are depressed. So we should also engage children in schools. So these issues are cross-cutting. We are working hand in hand with other ministries together with our stakeholders. But the ministry is very, very committed ensuring that the issue of mental health will be handled very serious, and we should pay our attention on this issue because we are losing out many people in Malawi.
Meanwhile, government plans to integrate mental health services into schools, workplaces, and communities, establish a national toll-free mental health helpline, and recruit more professional social workers to expand access to quality mental health services nationwide. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Gift Kalonga.
Karonga District Council Chairperson Councillor Simon Fumbo has demanded answers from the council's administration over delays and alleged irregularities in the implementation of Constituency Development Fund projects. Munefundo made the remarks in an interview with Luntha television after raising concerns over projects that had previously been approved for implementation but were later advertised despite contractors already having been assigned. Judy Fogan has filed a report read in our studios by Adams Mwenelupembe.
According to Mwenefumbo, councillors are demanding an explanation after contractors abandoned projects, including the renovation of a classroom block at Isgeva CDSS and the completion of a police unit at Wiriro in Karonga Central constituency without any official communication from the council administration. He further accused the administration of sidelining councillors during the project advertisement process, saying procedures outlined in the 2026-2027 CDF guidelines were not followed. Mwenefumbo has since given the administration 1 week to respond to a formal request for information, warning that failure to do so will attract appropriate action.
Due to some complaint from other offices. While some officers, they said some directors told me that some documents are ready, and some they are failing me to give me some documents. They don't even reply that when are they ready. So I have decided that through with some views from my fellow councillors, we have said that no, Chair, let's give them 1 week for them to give us a better document. We shouldn't allow them that maybe they should be saying that just because of the period, that's why we didn't comply with all those documents we are looking for. But as of now, I've given them 1 week.
Karonga District Council recently advertised 23 CDF-funded projects for the 2026-2027 financial year, with contract values ranging from 200 million to 1 billion kwacha. Reporting for Luntha Television, this is Adams Mwenelpembe.
Environmental activist Godfrey Mfiti has called on the government through the Department of Disaster Management Affairs and Farming Communities to take immediate precautionary measures following warnings that southern Malawi faces increased risk of severe drought and flooding due to looming El Nino event. The call comes after the Department of Climate Change and Meteorological Services issued a report warning that the country could experience both extreme drought and flooding during the same season, with 12 districts at risk. Emmanuel Chocha has filed this report.
Speaking to Luntha Television, environmental activist Godfrey Mfiti said the latest climate outlook should be treated with urgency by both the government and the public. Mfiti urged Dodma to intensify preparedness efforts, particularly in districts identified as high-risk, warning that the anticipated weather condition could destroy crops, kill livestock, and displace thousands of people. He has also encouraged residents living in flood-prone areas to relocate to safer places before disaster strike.
There are areas where annually they are prone to floods. So these are the first key targets that should be prepared to stay away from this or to move from these areas. And they should be prepared that this is going to affect livelihoods, economic activities, such as they may affect livestock, access to food. They may also accept humans on access to food.
According to the Department of Climate Change and Meteorological Services, there is more than an 80% chances that El Nino events will persist into 2027, with a 24% probability of exceeding the intensified of the devastating 2015 El Nino. The districts identified as being at high risks including Cheu, Mangochi, Balaka, Neno, Mwanza, Blantyre, Palombe, Mulanje, Cholo, Shiladzulu, and Msanje. For Luntha News, this is Emmanuel Chocha.
A small-scale trader from Kalonga Boma, Albert Shona, has emerged as one of the 5 million winners of the 9th weekly draw of the Airtel Money Tola promotion. Shona, who sells Kaunjika and Jenses, said he plans to use the prize money to expand his business. He also encouraged members of the public to have confidence in the credibility of the Airtel Money Tola promotion draws. 2 other customers also won 5 million kwacha in the same draw. Daniel Naula from Area 25, who runs a construction business, and said he will consult his wife before deciding how to use the money, and Mavuto Matawele, a police officer based in Monkey Bay, who mainly uses Airtel Money for mobile banking. Meanwhile, 300 other Airtel Money customers have also won 50,000 kwacha each in the 9th weekly draw, bringing the total amount distributed this week to 30 million kwacha. Airtel Money Malawi head of marketing Virginia Jerry said customers' participation continues to increase as the promotion heads towards its final weeks. Jelly explains.
Today we have successfully conducted week 9 of the dollar promotion, where 3 winners have won 5 million kwacha and 300 customers have won 50,000 kwacha. So in total today we have distributed 30 million kwacha. And just to add on that, since we started the promotion up to week 9, so far we have now distributed 270 million kwacha worth of prizes. And to enter in the promotion, just like we've been saying in the previous weeks, it's simple. It remains simple because these are ordinary transactions that customers are already doing. So number one, send money with 5,000 kwacha or more. Pay bill, this can be a grocery bill, a medical bill, any bill with 5,000 kwacha or more. Or buy a bundle or airtime with 500 kwacha or more. And this transaction will qualify you to enter into the promotion. So we urge our customers to transact on My Airtel app, because in addition to this double interest, they are also able to win daily prizes on Spin and Win. We have multiple prizes on Spin and Win. We have the 20,000 kwacha being the highest that one can get instantly, but we also have the 100 GB on Spin and Win that is up for grabs. So this promotion still continues. We have 3 more weeks to go up to the 5th of August. And remember that there is a grand prize of 50 million kwacha that is up for grabs. So I encourage all the customers, those that have not won, to continue participating, because you never know, you could be our next millionaire in the next week, or you could be the one to get the 50 million kwacha. And for those that have already won, we encourage them to use the money responsibly. We want this money to transform.
And in international news, 11 people have died after a fire broke out at a foster care facility in Algiers, the capital of Algeria. The deadly blaze occurred in the early hours of Thursday, leaving several others injured. Algeria's Civil Protection Department said firefighters responded to the emergency at around 3:30 local time. Rescue teams worked for hours to contain the fire. We have an African News report read by Charity Chilanga.
Authorities confirmed that 19 people were injured in the incident. However, they did not disclose the ages or identities of those who were killed or hurt. Emergency services deployed 10 fire engines and 16 ambulances to the scene to assist with firefighting operations and transport the injured to nearby hospitals. Firefighters were still battling the flames more than 3 hours after arriving at the facility, highlighting the severity of the fire. The tragedy comes as Algeria continues to experience an intense heat wave, with the AFP news agency reporting that nearly 1,000 fires have been recorded across the country within the past week.
We now give you the weather update by Tabiwa Kuragumoto.
Good evening, and it's time for weather forecast. Cold to very cold conditions were experienced over most areas this morning, with Jirede Nilongwe, Kamuzu International Airport, and Nyika in Rumpi reporting the coldest at 6 degrees Celsius, followed by Dedza, which reported 8 degrees Celsius. We are currently expecting partly cloudy conditions over most areas, accompanied by occasional winds. We are also expecting cold to very cold temperatures at night and during morning hours, while warm temperatures will persist over most areas in the afternoon. Mwela winds with speeds of at least 40 km per hour will also continue blowing over our lake water bodies such as Lake Malawi and Lake Chirwa. Hence, we are still advising all lake users, including fishermen, to continue being very observant. This is all due to the influence of this high-pressure system, which is pumping in moist southeasterlies into the country, influencing all these conditions. Tonight, we should expect partly cloudy conditions over most areas in the south as well as the central, while few clouds are expected over the north. We are also expecting occasional windy conditions over most areas, accompanied by cold to very cold temperatures. Similar conditions are also expected tomorrow in the morning hours, accompanied by fog patches in some areas, mainly over the highlands as well as the valleys. Temperatures are also expected to remain very cold in some areas, mostly over the central in parts such as Lilongwe and Dedza, which are being forecasted at 6 degrees Celsius, but generally cold conditions are anticipated over most areas across the country. Looking into the afternoon hours, we should expect partly cloudy conditions to persist over most areas in the south, accompanied by occasionally windy conditions as well as haze. Similar conditions are also expected over the central, while few clouds are expected over the north. Temperatures will also remain hot over some areas tomorrow in the afternoon, such as Ngabu and Nisanje, which are being forecasted at 28 degrees Celsius, but generally mild to warm conditions are expected over the south, the central, as well as the northern part of the country. Looking into Saturday, we should expect partly cloudy conditions to persist over some areas in the central, as well as a few areas over the north, but mostly cloudy conditions are expected over the south. I'm Tabua Kutamuju. Be wise, be weatherwise.
That concludes our today's news bulletin. Before we leave you, another look at the headlines. Pope Leo XIV sends envoy to Ukraine for Soviet Union 30th anniversary. Legislators place government to address midwife shortage amid maternal health concerns. Government intensifies fight against mental health challenges. And in other news, orphanage fire kills 11 as Algeria struggles in heatwave. I've been Fales Chizombe. Thank you so much for watching and goodbye for now.